And it wasn't until it was God's time for him to die, not of natural causes, as was the case with Hezekiah here 15 years later, but as a type and picture. And I know types don't answer every part of who the Lord was, but here we find him crying unto the Lord, that the Lord might be pleased to deliver him. We know that in Hebrews chapter 5, before we get in too far in this, Hebrews chapter 5, look how the writer to the Hebrews put it with regard to Christ, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, he was heard, and that he feared. There's a lot of symbolism here that we see, even though Hezekiah was but a man, a feeble one at that, yet he was the one that God had put there for the preservation of that people. And I'm sure all of this was on his mind, because this would have been during that time that the Assyrians were still bringing pressure to bear on the city of Jerusalem and on that temple. And even though there's never one incident or indication in the life of our Lord Jesus Christ that he ever was tempted away from that mission for which God had sent him into this world. He was tempted in all things, the writer to the Hebrews says, but yet without sin. That's an amazing reality. But that's why he is the King of righteousness, or the righteous King. In his faithfulness, he was never deterred, as so many men are. And when it mentions here, give thy strength unto women, it's because that seems to be the particular sin that causes the fall of many a man, no matter how upright they may seem to the world. Because it mentions there in verse 3, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It's not that Christ came into this world and lived his life in a bubble and therefore was never tempted. No, he was tempted in all things, yet without sin. But there wasn't anything in this world that could draw his heart away and cause him, therefore, to be condemned as a sinner. He took upon him the sin of his people, but he was not a sinner. He did not become a sinner in any way. Whether it had to do with giving his strength unto women. There were many women that followed our Lord Jesus Christ, and yet they served him to the glory and honor of his name because of the grace of God that God had put in their hearts. I know there's a very blasphemous play that is promoted that somehow our Lord Jesus Christ had a relationship with Mary Magdalene and was secretly married to her in some way. You ever heard that play that's been around for a long time, Jesus Christ Superstar? Not even worth the time. It's a blasphemous rendition of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, there were women that served him, but he was never tempted away by them. Such was the Spirit of God's grace and power in him. He goes on in verse 11, where is the dwelling of the lions? This would be a question. You see, the lion was one of the national emblems of the Assyrian Empire. We've got the American eagle that everybody thinks depicts the power and strength of the United States, but that's nothing before a mighty hand of God. Here it was the lion. So the question is asked, where is the dwelling of the lions and the feeding place of the young lions? Where the lion, even the old lion, walked, and the lions dwelt, and none made them afraid. You think of the lion as being the king of the jungle, and yet here the empire is so completely crushed in plundered that actually the other nations were like lions coming in to destroy. And so Nahum is caused to ask that question, where's the dwelling of the lions? This is the Lord bringing this nation so low that once was so mighty. And I fear even for our nation, the boasting that we hear even from some of our leaders, that this nation is going to be built up so strong, it's going to be the best economy, the most powerful in the world. Beware. Those are words that cause me to tremble and to fear and wonder how much longer the Lord will forbear. Here it says, the lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps, and strangle for his lionesses, and filled his holes with prey and his dens with raven. That's describing what they were. None could stop them at one point, but now God's purpose therein. And here's why. Look at verse 13. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts. I will burn her chariots in the smoke, and the sword shall devour the young lions, and I will cut off thy prey from the earth, and the voice of thy messengers shall be no more heard. You need to think about false religion. There's a voice of these messengers going out through the world, but there's coming a day when false religion will be no more. The Lord is going to completely destroy it, along with the works of man on this earth. Woe be unto any that are found in that false religion.